I mean, he has had other films where his genitals are in a sock. So I was prepared.
Dana Teller, thank you so much for joining me on Do I Know You today, my blue twin.
Thanks for having me. Look at us.
I'm obsessed with us. We totally coordinated this, right?
Yeah, you have great taste. Yeah.
Yeah, so do you. So do you. Dana, it's so great to meet you. Thank you so much for coming on. Have you ever been like, I don't know, what are your conversations like? Do you talk to celebrity siblings and kids? Like, are you connected with other people? What is that like for you?
There have been along the way where if there's just kind of like another sibling attending an event or a family member, it is kind of a cool camaraderie because, that doesn't always happen. I think my brother is known for bringing a lot of his family to everything. So, we're very present in things, but you don't necessarily see that. So whenever there's another one of me, it's always cool to kind of swap notes a little
Exactly.
bit,
You
about
deal
the
with this too?
yeah, it's because I call it celebrity adjacent. That's the lifestyle I'm living. It's like I'm next door. I get to like peek behind the window, and I get to do cool stuff, but then I have to like come home and sleep on my futon in my apartment. It's like there's such a shock. You do get to do amazing things, and I'll never say that I don't, but it's hard to come back from that because that's not my life. That's their life. So I've talked to some siblings, but I wouldn't say like I have a network or community, other than for things like this. I've had some people reach out to me, which is cool. And yeah, I think it's just a very
Yeah.
unique perspective in life, just kind of like peek behind the curtain a little bit and know what's going on. I don't know how it's been for you. I mean, you have the podcast,
1000%.
so you've met a lot
Yes,
of, yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yes, and honestly, the celebrity adjacent is so real. I was telling someone, I did like an interview and I was like, you can see me on a private plane on a Monday, but
yeah,
trust on Tuesday morning, I'm lowering my brightness in my Chase app, moving from savings to checkings. Like this is
yeah.
not a game for me.
That's what I said. It's like you got to wean off these trips like drugs, so you don't get the shakes when you go home to your studio apartment. It's like, when we'll go to like same thing. It'll be a private jet, and then I'm like in coach in a middle seat, getting back. I'm like, what? You do these things, and you're like, oh, this is my life, and then you come home, you're like, this is my life. But it's a tease. It is cool. So same thing. Like I've had those experiences, and it's like that's your brother's life day to day. It's not yours, but you do
It's not
get.
mine.
Yeah, it's not yours. So it's like it's amazing, but it's also because we're exposed to those things. The disparity when we come away from it, it is strong. I say it is like getting out of rehab. A little
Yeah.
bit. Like I say, first I'm in like the shock and denial phase. Like I just refuse to accept Uber X as my transportation. I'm like, no, no, a 2005 Kia, I'd rather die. I'm sorry. Yeah. Where are the
Me,
servants?
Uber black.
I know. Do you feel that? It's the crazy.
Yes. Yes. And I feel that so much too because my brother, he really like this sounds silly, but like, he also enjoys nice things, right? So it's
Yeah.
like
As does
even
mine.
in that world, he's still doing the premiumness of that.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
I go home. I will never ever forget. I remember we won the championship. We were on the parade, all this stuff. Come home. Immediately that summer I went to college. So I'm living in this bootleg dorm. We actually had a mold issue. There was a whole lawsuit. My groceries are like falling through the bag. Then I'm like, oh, let me go to a game. Hop over, jet, plane. Like you're with people that, like people admire. And I know it's the same for you. It's like,
Yeah.
this is normal. It's like they're coworkers, right? Then
Yeah.
I go home. It's just like, wow, this is crazy whiplash. I always tell people I'm like Hannah Montana. Like this is the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be bittersweet because it's like I feel like if you never had exposure to that, you wouldn't like not knowing that those things exist is its like that is nice too. But like then once you have all that, you're just like, oh man, how do I give me some of that all the time?
Exactly.
It,
It's
does,
so
it does
true.
it does it is motivating on one. Yeah, it's like I haven't really ever been jealous. I wouldn't say that's like I'm 99% of the time I am just proud sister. But then my brother did just have a company that sold for a couple 100 million, and I was like, I'm jealous now.
Are
So
you
now
serious?
I'm jealous. Yeah, he did through something just through like good business sense and luck, opportunity, all kind of meeting. And I mean, he worked hard for it, but I don't feel like jealousy. I'm just like, oh, it's so cool that I get to like do these things too. And where I don't have the same kind of exposure, because with that lifestyle does come a microscope, and so that is not something I would like. And there is kind of this other side to fame thing where there's like stalkers, there's security issues, you're being targeted, things like that. And so like I do see that side too. And I think I've realized like a lot of the money, it's not just for the job you're doing, it's just to sustain like a secure and safe lifestyle as well. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Like that costs money too. Security and
One
things like
million percent.
privacy, all of those things. And I think it's like, it can be really unsafe, you know.
Yeah. Have you ever encountered a security issue, or not even security, but like just a safety thing because you go to premieres and you see stuff?
I will tell you the scariest people of all time are prepubescent girls, 13-year-old women, girls. They do not take no for an answer. And their prefrontal cortex, they do not understand risk or no. Talk about consent. You're not going to get it. I mean, those 13-year-olds, they do not know what that is. They go insane. They will not leave you alone. It's like, I've just seen security guards be really perplexed with what to do with 13 because, like, you can't tackle them to the ground,
Yeah.
but they are obsessive, especially if you get and they swarm. They roam in packs. They need to be
That's so
studied.
funny.
They need to be
Well,
studied.
especially
It's
too
scary.
for you too. Your brother's like an actor, but I feel like he's also had like the heartthrob character. Like he's done various roles, but like
Yeah.
I think the first movie I saw with him in it was probably Divergent, maybe for
Oh,
me. I'm
yeah.
like very Gen Z,
Oh,
right?
that's a
So,
long time
but I
ago. Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
For
yeah,
you,
okay, yes.
Peter's princesses. Those are the ones I'm talking about. They're the scary ones. Peter's prince. That was his character name in that movie, Peter. And then these little Peter's princesses. They swarmed. They are dangerous. They're more dangerous than
Horrible.
anyone in the Divergent franchise. They could be a villain. They are
So
super villains.
funny.
They're
Well,
scary. They don't take no for an answer. That they are. I was like, that was the most surprise. Like, they go wild. They do. It's so
wow.
funny. Taylor Swift. I mean, just like that life is insane. But like, there's a lot of 13-year-old girls all over her, and they don't. They are the biggest security.
The biggest threat is so funny. Well, it's
Yeah.
also funny too because I feel like when Top Gun Maverick came out, I could not tell you the amount of times I saw your brother on my For You page doing that little like the little dance with his fingers. I cannot like I cannot imagine if that was my brother seeing it all the time because every once in a while I'll get someone will make an edit, they call them like edits of like people they think are like fine or hot or whatever, and they like, put music on the back. And every once in a while I'll just be scrolling and I'm like, is that my brother? Now I have to like literally take a walk and like go book my therapist for an extra session this week. So for you,
Yeah.
was that summer insane? I know you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was. I mean, he has had other films where his genitals are in a sock. So I was prepared. So there's that. That was alarming. But it's crazy. It's like I think that's the movie that really like made him kind of the sex symbol. But I just was like, he worked so hard to get that body that if I look like that, I'd be showing everyone too. Mom, dad,
Facts.
cats. I don't care. Like I really, it was joking. But yeah, when people would tell me like how hot my brother was, I'm just like, okay, that's gross.
Like stop.
Especially if we were on a date together. I was like, okay, you need to go. I said, no.
You'd hear that on a date.
People just say weird things to you. I'm sure they do to you too. And it's in an attempt to connect. But that's not even just about my brother. That's just people in general just do say some weird things when they're nervous.
Yes, true.
Um,
True.
but yeah, it is like I don't need to see him in less clothing. I don't need to people to tell me that he's in their top 5 or that he's their hall pass. I'm like, that's disgusting. How are we supposed to ever talk again?
Like,
Yeah.
do people think you're going to hear that and be like, that's great. I'm actually glad you said that.
Yeah.
Let's be closer.
Me
right?
too. Me too. Isn't that crazy?
Actually, same. I'm glad you said something about it. Literally.
What is the weirdest request? Do people message you on like social media to try and get things? Yeah. What's the weirdest request?
You know what's crazy? This one's not even that outlandish, but I get it the most often is just, can you tell him to follow me back? My question is, why? Why? Like, I don't know you. You don't even follow me. That's the other thing. You don't follow me. You're visiting my page. You better drop me a follow. I'm working hard for this. So it's like, can you tell him to follow me back or say hi? That's like not the most outlandish that I've gotten, but I get it so often. I was thinking about making a TikTok series called Exposing My DMs, and I was just going to.
I love that.
I might. Wait, what have you gotten? What have they said to you?
I don't know if I've gotten anything weird per se, but a lot of requests to show up at birthday parties, like to ask him. And one was like, hey, I've had a really hard time getting in touch with him. It's like, yes, he's not on social media either. So it's like, yeah, mostly just like, can he read my script? Can you pass this along? Nothing like super crazy other than like, can he show up at my birthday party? It's tomorrow in Chicago. So can you send that message? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I'll pass it along for sure. He's actually on the way.
His schedule's wide open. So
super free. He does nothing all day.
And one was like a really young girl. And I was like, I might have screenshotted him and sent it to him just because it was like cute.
It's cutesy.
You know what? She probably wasn't cute. She was probably 12 and she was probably a stalker. Now that I go
prepubescent stalker.
Yeah.
Alert.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, because I know you weren't always, okay, so we haven't even talked about you. You are a stand-up comedian. You do all the things. I feel like you're like now influencer queen. Like, I feel like you're doing all the things on socials, which is great. But I know that you weren't always sharing about him in like your stand-up and like even on social media. Do you feel like those requests from people, the like DMs, the whatever, ramped up once you started being more public with it?
Probably. I think just because like whenever I am more, if you are putting yourself out there more, you're going to get more back. And so I think just, I only had started talking about it and I was really just kind of like a comedy coach. And I think I never really wanted to do it because he's a pretty private person, but I've been doing stand-up a little over 3 years. And, really the reason I've always been the ham of the family. I've always been the one that was like up in front of the camera. He was always kind of more in the background, but either way, we have a very theatrical family. We were always performing. My older sister was, doing country music in Nashville when she was like 15. So, we've all been these performers, and for whatever reason, I didn't pursue it. I kind of stopped. I get older, you started playing sports instead. And then, you go to college and then you get a job and you do all that. And you kind of lose those things that brought you a lot of joy. Even having my brother have success, I just thought that like, oh, you don't make a career out of it. And then but I always in the back of my head was like, everyone always told me, I actually do finance and accounting. That was my prior life. And no one.
I knew this. I was going to ask you about this.
I know. And it's so funny because the people that I work with are like, we can't imagine you doing stand up when I'm like new at work. They're like, we can't imagine it. And I'm like, and all of my friends cannot imagine me doing this. Like there's But it was funny because at his wedding, he gave me like a 2-minute heads up that I had to give the closing speech at his rehearsal dinner.
That's the most brother thing I've ever heard.
I said, yeah, because the sisters of the bride had 3 months. They had a whole song and dance routine prepared. I'm not joking. They had an entire song and dance prepared. I had 2 minutes. And so, but I gave like I did a 5-minute set and in front of 100 people, the mic in my hand. That was like the first time I really felt in my body, like, okay, I can do this. And so many people came up to me afterwards, like, you got to go for it, you know. That was right when Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, like, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, I'll be watching that. You remind me of her, all that. So I did stand up. And then, yeah, one of my comedy coaches was like, I really think you need to talk about your experience, just because, like, as long as it's your experience, you know, what happens to you, then that's fine. So I've only posted a little bit about that online, mostly just because, like, they are my hardest hitting jokes. And I think some of them, I just think people are really curious, but it is a very unique perspective. And even though everyone can't relate to that experience per se, I think they can relate to feel the feeling that we said we feel, where it's like being around all of this, you know, luxury and kind of and access, and then going back to your normal life. And I think that's just like a very funny contrast. You know, I think whenever there's a large contrast in things, there's a lot of comedy that comes from that. And, you know, I do have like this really cool perspective. So I will say, after I've started talking about it in stand up, I will have people come up to me. And usually, honestly, it's people that are like, hey, actually, I worked with your brother. He's so cool, or this, or like, that was great. I didn't know. Or, and now he'll have people come up to, this is the coolest part. Now he has people come up to him and say they see my stuff. Yeah, he like went to a UFC fight a couple weeks ago. And I guess there was this big entertainment like lawyer and producer and UFC guy. And he was like, hey, I've been watching your sister's stand up. She's really funny. I really like, and then he's like,
amazing.
I love these three jokes. I know. And so now he's shared that with me, which is really cool. I was like, all right, I like that. Yeah, like and he just came across my stuff on social media. So that's the thing. It's like, it is this kind of, it's such, you know, it's a blessing and a curse what social media has the ability to do, but you do have access to an audience you never would have had it before. I mean, this guy just came across my stuff, which is cool. And so did you. And I just think that's cool. And, but I can get up on stage and talk about the most vulnerable things, but it does feel more vulnerable putting yourself on social media. I don't know why. I'm getting better at it, but I'm embracing.
It does.
Yeah.
You're doing such a great job. And what I'm hearing is we'll have to bring Miles on because he's the brother of you. So that's really what's happening. I brought on the wrong sibling this time.
Yeah, that's right. I know. I will have people in the comments that, like, you know, I have no idea who they are. And they're like, I have no idea who that is, but you're the famous one to me now. I'm like, all right.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, everyone growing up, when they, you know, and they say it now, but it was like when they came over, it was kind of like, it was the Dana show. Like, I just was always performing. And so now that I finally made this transition, everyone's like, okay, this makes sense. This, we're here to cheer you on. And, you know, not that I'm not taking anything away from my brother. You know, he's had tremendous success, but I think people were surprised that I had not followed that path sooner.
It was like a natural next step.
Yeah. And, but here I am now that this is my time now. The timing was a little kind of different, how things happened for both, you know, me and him, how he got into it. And I was just like kind of a couple years away from having that amazing drama teacher that he had, that got the acting bug, and just because I'm a little older than him. But yeah, my time is now. And now I have all this rich life experience to talk about, which is cool. Because, you know, stand-up's its own lane.
Totally. There's like 10 things I want to ask you about the stand-up and everything you said. But first, let me kind of go back a little bit. So you talked about how you were in like the finance accounting world, and then you made this leap. Yeah. How did you know when it was time for you to make the leap? Like, why was that time the right time?
You know, it had been tugging on me for a while. I feel like when I first decided I was going to move to LA, I was living in Florida, and I was like, I just had this feeling that, like, I'm ready to swim with the big fishies. Like, I didn't know in what way yet. All of my friends say they knew. It was the beginnings of what this was. It took a while. I think just like feeling, wanting more, you know, I had wanted more. And I think I had a company that had a lot of success, and it allowed me, you know, take some time off and just kind of really think about what I wanted. When I came out to LA first, I just started taking a lot of meetings thinking I would be in like, maybe film finance or production. And my best friend was like, you need to be in front of the camera. What are you doing? And I
Mm.
was just like, I don't know yet. And I had to figure it out on my own. And I do think the wedding was the first time where it was like, I felt like an athlete that hadn't found its sport yet. Like I started doing improv, and that, like, I didn't really like that. And then I did sketch writing, and that got a little closer, but it wasn't quite it. And I just felt like, I had good hand-eye coordination, I had good ball skills, but I just didn't know, is it baseball? Is it basketball? Is it soccer? And I just like kept trying. And then I think my brother's wedding really was, I was like, oh, that was a stand-up set. And my timing, you can't teach timing. I've always been comfortable on a stage, but like, I'm not going to be in theater. And I was like, that's not quite it. I don't know why stand-up didn't occur to me, because people had always told me. But once I was standing up in front of 100 people, had a mic in my hand, and I was getting uproarious laughs and like a very warm community, obviously, because it was all friends and family. That was really the thing. And then the pandemic. And I was just like, what am if I'm going to do it, I need to do it now. And also I want to do it while I'm still hot, just good thing.
Period.
More doors open for you when people are attracted to you. That's just, that's the way life is. And so I was like, I need to do this, I need to do this
Totally.
while Botox still works,
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think the pandemic and then getting loud, I just was like, it's now or never. Like was just starting to approach. I'm 40 now, and I'm just like, I gotta go for it. If I don't go for it now, I'll regret it for the rest of my life.
I'm
And
like,
finance, obviously, that was boring, and that part too. Yeah, and
literally.
finance just was. I mean, I worked for cool companies, but I just didn't feel, something always felt like it was missing.
Yeah,
And I would always
yeah.
like have these little creative side projects, and people would ask me, they're like, then just so many people started asking me, like, oh, do you do stand up? Oh, you're a comedian. Where can I'm like, I'm not actually. And then I had some comedians be like, I mean, what you just did, that is stand up ready. What you just did. I'm like,
Wow.
okay. So people had told me that, but it is, you still have to go do it. I don't know. I think I was afraid that doing something alone, it just felt like a very solitary thing. And it's not, I found people and a community to where I can bump up ideas against and from. Because I was like, I like team sports. I played sports growing up. I'm like, I like to be part of a team. And stand up just felt very solo. And I think that's why I avoided it.
Mm. What does it feel like up there when you're on stage, giving it your all? And I'm sure, I mean, you're hilarious, but like, I'm sure you've encountered like a dead crowd, or like maybe the jokes weren't landing. Like, what does that feel like? Because when I'm watching stand up, I love throwing a laugh. Like, even if no one else is laughing, I'm like, I see you, I stand with you, I'm going to give you a laugh, but I can tell it's like a hard thing. What does that feel like?
I love you. You have tickets to all my shows.
Great.
I heard it does, the ego takes a hit. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but I heard a really interesting quote from this guy that kind of coaches creatives, and he was like, creatives need to approach their craft as a professional. And what does a professional mean? It's like when Tom Brady has a bad game, does he quit? No, he gets up the next day and he goes to practice and he runs it again. That's what a professional does. And that really, I don't know if it's the athlete in me, but I did that switched something for me. I was just like, this, it doesn't matter. You have to get your reps in. That's all I'm doing. I'm getting my reps in. The only way to know if a joke works is to do it in front of a lot of people. And what I've learned the more I'm on stage is just that same joke can hit different in every crowd. So I just say, it doesn't mean that I'm not funny. Just maybe that joke's not funny, but it doesn't mean I'm not funny. Do I still have moments where it's like, that it hurts? But I also, one of the guys that I have been opening for and touring with, his name is Phil Medina, great guy. And, there was a set that I did that was just okay. It wasn't great. I didn't bomb, but it was like definitely not great. And, I feel like it's my job to really warm up the crowd for him. And he was like, you know what? You learn nothing when you crush. You learn everything when you make mistakes and you fail. Like, that's the only way you learn. And it's true. It's like we need to crush a room for our ego and to help us keep going. We need those wins. But it does, I definitely learn the most and work the hardest after a night like that. After a night like that, I'm going back and watching the tape because I'm watching that tape. What did I do? What was different? And a lot of times I find like sometimes it isn't just the audience, it's how I reacted to the audience reaction. Because they changed, I changed. And earlier on, I know if I had an opener that I loved, if they didn't laugh at my opener, I'm just like, my body language changed. And I just think like sometimes you also just, and I've had this happen on social media too, where I've had, a reel recently that I did is going viral. I'm impersonating my mom. And I had posted this joke. Yeah, it's so good. It's so funny. And that's like taking off in like the gym community where I'm impersonating her. And I posted that joke months ago and it didn't really, I don't know, it got like 7,000 views, nothing really. But I reposted it again. And because I was like, I believed in it. And I was just like, this is funny. I don't care. And my mom, I was with my mom on Mother's Day and she was like, what happened to that thing? That's funny. I was like, oh, it didn't take off. She's like, I don't care. It's funny. And I was like, oh, you're right. I'm going to repost it. And I did. And now it's got like over 700,000 views. So it's like, yeah, at Dana Teller, anybody. But it was like, it doesn't mean just because a crowd doesn't react to certain, it doesn't mean anything. It means that crowd on that day. But you do have to pick yourself up. And I think for any creatives, whenever you're putting yourself out there, it's very vulnerable. And that's why I think it's important to kind of like have your community of people that you can run things through in a safe environment. Like the thing is, if a joke bombs, usually at that point, it's like, well, it's crushed in other rooms, so it doesn't. But if it's like it's the first time, that it's like, okay, well then we gotta rework it. Back to the drawing.
Right.
It's crazy when you see like now that I watch so much stand up and I see these stand up specials, I'm like, oh my God, I saw John Mulaney working that joke 18 months ago. That's how long the pros are doing it. Yeah. Sarah Silverman, I was like, wow, I saw her do that joke at a thing like almost 2 years ago. I saw it. And I think I heard Ali Wong say she needs to do a joke something like 50 times before she knows that it works. I mean, that's a lot.
As I'm sitting here listening to you, the thread I'm hearing is like, isolation is just not possible in this work, because even if you are on stage by yourself, every time you talked about like how you picked yourself back up or how you kind of had a perspective shift, it was through someone else, whether it's through your coach or the person that you were opening for. And it's like, it's such a good reminder for me, because I mean, I'm not in stand up and I'm not funny, but with the talk show, it's like also just like it's like me and the crowd and
you're an entertainer.
But you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's so easy for me to like hibernate in my own world and do it. But it's like, that's when the doubt can spiral. And that's when the negative self-talk can spiral. Like,
all of that happens.
People around you.
All of that happens. And it's just, find your tribe is kind of the thing. What I've tried to do, if there's a joke I just can't work, now I have this built-in community that understands my humor and they can help us. Yeah, I think it all seems scary when you're alone and you tend to talk yourself out. Oh, that's not funny. It's just like, just get it out on paper and then just run it by trusted people. And I think, the arts, they feel solo, but they don't need to be. I mean, even Dave Chappelle is running his jokes against someone. It might be Kevin Hart or Chris Rock, but he's still bumping it against someone, I mean, these guys came up together, but it's like, so I just, my Kevin Hart, or just.
Yeah, exactly.
I think so good. Not doing it alone. That's important in life. I think we're meant to be community based. We're meant to be with each other and not alone. I do think that was obviously fear kept me away from following my dreams. I think fear is the reason why we don't make big changes in our life. And I think it takes a lot of courage to do that. And that's why, for anybody that's making big changes in their life, like what you're saying, like, you know what, I'm going to laugh because they're trying hard. I love that. That's the energy I try to bring to things too. It's just like, if I'm coming to a stand-up show, I'm here to laugh. Okay. I'm here to have a good time. I'm a generous laugher, but my mom always says I was her funniest child. She always says that. She said I was like the earliest to laugh, the earliest to make a joke. Like that was just me. But if you're trying, so for all of you out there, when you go to stand-up shows, when you're watching something, put their art out for the first time, just give them a good job, just give them a yeah.
It's not that hard. I feel the same way on social media. I'm like, if you see your friends posting on social media consistently for the first time, how hard is it to throw them a like? Like, people are putting themselves out there, moving past fear. Just throw them a comment, throw them a like just tell them you see them. Yeah.
Just trying something different. Anytime someone's making a change and trying something different in their life, I'm so supportive. I don't know, it's because we moved around a lot as kids, so I was the new kid a lot. I always got a soft spot. It's hard to start over. It's hard to start something new. It's hard to put something out there that you created. It's very vulnerable. And so I always just, yeah, I love that message, Jordy. That's great. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And honestly, I'm already prepared to listen to this over and over. I'm moving to New York. Well, maybe I'll cut this out. I'm like soft launching the announcement, but I'm moving to New
All
York
right.
at the end of the year because I just feel like,
Congratulations.
thank you, Queen. It's just like everything you're describing now. I'm like sitting here like, oh, that's how I feel. Like just the tension and like work and the tension. And I know there's something more. I don't really
Yeah.
know what it is, but I know there's something more. And it's like, I just feel like I need to do it before I talk myself out of it. And so just everything you've said has
Sure.
resonated so much. I'm going to go back and listen 10 times.
Yeah. And I don't know how many people you've shared it with, but pay attention to the people who are supporting your dreams and the one you're not. Like be you need to be precious with your dreams because I remember, there were some people, very few, and they're not in my life anymore, but there were very few people that were like, "Well, what are you going to do in LA when you think you're better than?" It's like that's their own stuff coming out because people they're afraid to do it themselves. And so like be very precious with the people you share your dreams with. Like that's for a very select audience, the privilege of
Mm.
hearing me talk about my dreams. At this point I'm 40 years old. I've pruned all of those friendships that don't support me. I call it a little friendship pruning. I do every couple of years, just like sip sip.
So good.
Yeah, you did. Yes, sip sip. No, you go, you gone. You're not
Yes, that's
serving me. You're dead
necessary.
weight. You're dead weight. So, but congratulations. I think, yeah, if, for an aspiring artist, entertainer, all of that, I don't know if you've heard of the book, The Artist's Way. Have you heard of this?
No.
Jordy, I think you need to get it. You need to get the Artist's Way. It's basically unlocking creativity. We're kind of like, the day-to-day life that we live in now is very left brain oriented. It's regimented, it's time, it's schedules, it's all these things. And it closes the door to the side of our brain that dreams and that creates new things and has ideas. And even professionals, in non-creative areas use this because we're all creative. We create our own lives. We are all creating something. And so I will say, since I've started doing some of the practices in there, there's some daily kind of like morning pages, just kind of a morning dump, just getting off your brain. I think it's just some really good practices and some for someone who's starting something new and, aspiring on this new journey. Part of it is just figuring it out along the way. You will figure it out. And I'm so excited to see what happens. But it's like you got to go where opportunity is. And that's why in the
Yeah.
back of my head, I know that's why I moved to LA. It just took me a long time. It took me it took me 8, 9 years, whatever, to find stand up. I was starting to do other things. And I'm
Yeah.
sure that's how you'll figure it out too. But all of those things gave me, a stacking of skills that just makes me unique. And it means I only bring what I bring to the table. And I think like
Yes.
things can feel very competitive for people. I know in stand up there is some competition, and sometimes people in the audience here, they won't give you the laugh because they feel that they're in competition with you. And that's why I love doing stand up outside of LA. Like I love leaving LA and I love doing stand up everywhere else. I mean, I'm from the Northeast, and when I go back east, I mean, these people, I'm like, these are my people. They just eat up my jokes.
Yes.
But it's like,
Exactly.
yeah, it's I don't think competing means there's not enough for everyone. And I just disagree with that. I think like we all have something to I think there's plenty of abundance to go around for everyone. And if you are yourself, there's there's an audience for you. There's something that you bring that nobody else does. So I think as long as you're true to yourself, you're going to get feedback. And you got to kind of sift through the feedback too of like, okay, I need to learn from people who've gone there before me, but I also need to hold true to what I know is right for me. And like that, that's something I've gotten some feedback from people about changing certain things, doing something different. It's like I always will take a note and then I'll try that note. And if it doesn't work or doesn't feel right, it's like, okay, well, I tried it. But I do think it's important
Mm.
to it's important to listen to people who know what they're talking about and take notes and take feedback. Feedback is a gift. But yeah,
Yeah.
it is a balance where it's like, ooh, where do I kind of, as long as you're not losing yourself along the way, I think that's,
Totally.
and that can happen in stand up where you keep fixing a joke and fixing a joke so more people laugh and more people laugh. And then by the end of it, you're like, but that's actually not true anymore. That's not, like, doesn't,
Yeah.
that's not my truth anymore. I just did that to appease you people, you know?
Totally.
But
Totally.
it's hard
I
because you want
totally
people
hear
to
that.
laugh. You want people to
Right.
laugh. You want as many people to laugh as possible. But at the same time, you're just like, well, maybe this joke isn't for everyone. And am I okay with it?
Right.
And I don't actually know the answer yet. I'm starting to move into like
Right. Still figuring it
teeny,
out.
yeah, exactly. And you will too.
I think that's beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much for that. As you're talking, I'm reminded of if you've ever watched Insecure, Yvonne
Love
Orji
that show.
plays
Yes.
Molly. Okay,
Yes.
great. I figured, but Yvonne Orji wrote a book called Bamboozled by Jesus. I'm a Jesus girly too. And she talked about, she was like, your calling wasn't a conference call. Like, it is for you. It's not supposed to be
Oh, I
with
love that.
everybody. Everyone's not so good, so good.
Oh, she's
And I
great.
just think about that all the time. Even with the show, I had to really, like, when I first got the idea, I had to really pull back who I was talking to, because people were like, this is too niche. Like, no one really, like, you're not going to be able to
Yeah.
get enough guests for this. Like, I heard every excuse in the book, as I'm sure you have with
Yeah.
so many of your endeavors. And I just
Yeah.
kind of got to a point where I was like, you know what? God, you gave me this. And like, I don't think it's intentioned for everyone to understand. Do I
Yeah.
believe in it enough to say thank you, but I'm going to keep going here?
Yes.
Which is hard, but you have to have that conviction, which leads me to my next question for you, which is, I think you have a really cool perspective, because I'm similar. I came from a consulting background, and like, I'm still kind of in
Really?
like the PR. I did. I was down
Oh, wow.
bad in the consulting dumps. Yeah.
Oh my, what were you consulting? Did you say PR?
I was doing strategy consulting. So I worked at Bain and Company. So I was doing like,
Oh, wow.
all that good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just so interesting, because when I went in, I knew, I was like, I'm going to be a talk show host one day. But then they were like, oh, are you? Because you're here. And I'm like, oh, am I? Because I am here. And then they would
I
always
see it.
bring up John Legend to me. You know, John Legend worked at BCG. This is like the weird like lore he has.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, I didn't.
He used to be at
Wow.
BCG New York and like sing gigs on the weekends. Anyways, they would be like,
What?
oh, maybe you'll be like, yeah, isn't that crazy?
And there was someone that was like, yeah, okay, John. There was definitely
John,
someone that
finish
was
the
like,
slide
I
deck.
mean, his voice is pretty good, but come on. Wow.
It's just so crazy. But I just always think about that, because I'm like, man, had I listened to them, I would probably still be there. And there's nothing wrong with being there. It just wasn't my path. But I still see there's things that I learned in consulting that I still am like using even with the show. And I'm curious for you, with your background, it feels like stand up and finance accounting are completely different, but I believe like nothing's wasted. Is there something that
I
you can
love
like
that.
pull back from that time and be like, I needed that?
You know what I will say with stand up? I love that question. That's such a great question because it's true. It's like uh, we all just have this, nothing is wasted. We all have this stack of skills that only contributes to our experience. In the first thing that came to my head was, because aside from stand up, I'll go to a lot of industry Q&As. I'm just kind of absorbing everything like a sponge. And I will say it is shocking how many people in this industry are wildly unprofessional. They're showing up late. They don't have manners. They don't understand that it's a business. They're getting too drunk. They're just unprofessionalism.
Wow.
That is, they look sloppy. There's just like, at the end of the day, it's called show business. It's a
Okay.
business. It's a business. And I do think that helps. I've also, I got to kind of host a charity event that was raising, it was a fundraiser. And so that background, just kind of rubbing shoulders with people that, I still occasionally will present to boards and things like that. And I do, so I do think just that kind of professionalism in communication and all of that, that is very helpful. I haven't found the right way in, but I think eventually I will certainly talk about it, but I kind of want to do some finance specific comedy. I've written some jokes and I just like, I didn't find the right angle yet. But yeah, that is what came to the top of my head the most, is just kind of professionalism. I hear it all the time. But also the characters. I'm writing a workplace comedy right now, and just
Cool.
being around everyday people is a very unique experience in a workplace. It's just like the weirdest, group of people that would never be brought together in any other setting. They're not friends, they're not family, but they're together all the time. You spend more time with them than anyone else. And it's just like the weirdest amalgamation of these, eccentric characters in my experience.
It's so
And
true.
no eye candy at all, at least where I was
At
coming from.
all.
None.
Same. It was
So
dire.
put me in charge of hiring. I don't even care. We need a hot blonde.
Help us.
We need muscles. And they're like,
Everyone's
hire
like
a yoga
balding.
instructor. They're like, we got a yoga
Yeah.
instructor. I'm like, get out of here. I know. And this is like, I did it for
Oh,
like biotech companies. But yeah, I think being around people is a great life experience. That's, I think it's all comes in some way. But yeah, I do just like overall, I feel like just knowing how a business operates. And I think I know what other people's objectives and goals are, and how do I help them meet that? Because like any kind of
yeah.
representation of producers or anyone on the other side of the camera, they have goals as well. And I just think understanding what all that is and knowing the bottom line of what all that is, I think all of that. But I don't know. I think it'll still come into play as well. But I also just think
Totally.
like being 40 versus being 20 has its own very unique thing. I just think I have a lot more to say now. I mean, I'm not really going to listen to a 20-year-old talk about all their life experience, but at this
Right.
point I've had relationships. Yeah. And so I just, the relationship jokes I do hit really well, because I'm finally in a long-term relationship and in a committed partnership. And just the things, the humor that comes out of that, I didn't have that when I was 20, 25, even 30. I think a lot has
Mm,
happened in the last decade that is really rich and juicy for comedy, which is
it's
just
so
the life
good.
experience. I've always written things down. I've always like been the person that had a little notebook of ideas, and I think a lot of creatives out there too. And they're like, "What do I do with this?" And it's funny now. I find them now cleaning stuff out, and it's like, "Oh, this was from like 15 years ago. I had these ideas, and I did nothing with it." So if you out there, if you
Wow.
have a notebook, do something. Just start. Just start. Take a class. Just find a group
Please.
of people to do creative things with. Yeah,
Well,
that's
even I recently saw Michael, which we haven't even talked about. We'll have to bring
oh,
you
yeah.
back. I don't know. I still have 30 questions. We got to bring you back for a part two, but like we'll schedule that another time. But in Michael,
We
I just
should
thought it was
guest.
so
We
fun.
can guest. I could guest host with you. Maybe we have a thruple. Maybe we have a threesome.
Yes. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yes. I actually would love to do that. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
But even in Michael, when he was like, I got to get this song out or God, I'll give it to Prince. Like everyone laughs, but I'm like, no, like that's real life. I always say, like,
Oh yeah.
I don't think I'm the first person with the idea for Do I Know You? I do not think I am. I think I'm maybe the first to act on it in this way. But
Yeah.
like, if it's just sitting up here, it can't serve anyone. So I just love your. I just feel like there's such like the word
Mhm.
that comes to mind is like a ferocity about you. Like you're just going after it. Like who
Oh,
cares what
thank you.
people think? And like, yes, of course, there's still that swirling in the back, but this has been so energizing and beautiful for me, especially
Good.
as a woman who, like, I just always think too about, I think it's Tina Turner who like she like popped off in like her 60s. Like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like when we're in this like generation now, like my generation is like, if you didn't make it by 25, if you don't have 10 million followers by 25, you were just ruined, right? So like, this has been
Life's
very
over.
encouraging
Yeah.
for me. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
over for you. You have nothing left. And yeah, you're just incredible. Where can people, we'll tag all your socials, but what's next for you? Where can they
So
see you live?
I'm Dana at Dana Teller on everything. It's my name. let's see, what do I got coming up? I perform all around LA. I'm based in LA, but I do go back to the East Coast. I always go to Florida at least once a year. I just got off a tour there. I imagine I'll be in Chicago and the Boston area in the fall. Summer, yes, those are my plans. But yeah, follow me on Dana Teller. I post all of my upcoming shows and events on there. I'm going to start doing some more sketch comedy, and yeah, hopefully everybody watches my amazing TV show that gets picked up that I'm writing
I
right now.
am so locked in. You have no idea. You will never be able to get rid of me. I am so excited to follow along with everything. Thank you for coming on and just sharing some of your heart. It's been really wonderful getting to know you, and I can't wait for you to co-host with me next time.
This is awesome. I had so much fun. Thanks for having me.
One of the first times I met LeBron, he was wearing a white shirt. It was at a wedding. And I was sweating. I was dancing. I was going so hard. I was like, Pride. And like we hugged, and I literally came off from the hug and I see my whole face on his white shirt. Like concealer, contour, lips. Like I could literally map out my face. And I was just like, ah. And he's just talking, like,
gosh.
you know how it goes when you get a little. So I was like, should I say something? Like Kim and my brother are really good friends. So I was like, do I say something? So I just like let it pass. And then he was like, have you met Savannah? You have to meet my wife. I was like, oh, I'd love to see her. And then we like hugged, and I was like, ma'am, I am so sorry. I did not mean to do that. She's like, girl, don't trip.